Gemini King, Mike in the night, and the Gemini crew. Ooh. Night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world. Give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world. Give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you may be watching this transmission. You are watching Mike in the Night. Sit back, stretch out that lazy boy chair, get that pillow puffed up a bit, crack that window open, let a fresh breeze in. If you're in the southern hemisphere, close that window and turn on your AC. Drink some sparkling water, maybe even sit back and sipping some nice cold wine, because you are with Mike in the Night. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. Broadcasting live from Merritt, British Columbia here, Pacific time. It is 9 p.m. local time, and it is morning right now in New York. So I want to thank everyone there on the East Coast who is up, and people in the United Kingdom who are awake watching this at 3 in the morning. And right now it is Sunday 2:30 or 1:30 p.m. in Sydney, Australia. So 3 o'clock in Sydney, Australia, or 2 o'clock, I don't know. All right, we got people in the comments already rolling in, guys. Don't forget to join us if you want to contribute to the show. You could go ahead and add me on Skype on Mike Martins 1980 if you want to be part of the transmission and call in on Skype to give us your analysis on what we're talking about. So we are talking about, it's 12:58 in Sydney, Nova Scotia. I'm talking about Sydney, Australia, and Melbourne, Australia. But it is 12:58 there in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Okay, so we got double A in the comments. Owen bidding me good morning, because it is morning where he's at. Solid Exter, Layla, double A. Gonna be a good night when you know it's Mike in the Night live. Captain Nobody in the house. Lord Humungus already in the house. Got my back. Galaxy News Radio. Mike, did you hear about Boeing has suspended manufacturing on the 747 for the first time in 20 years? Yes. Why? Because you're going to see a breakdown in energy, a huge energy breakdown, and then you're going to start to see a huge breakdown in travel where people can't afford to go anywhere anymore. And I'm looking to book a trip to take in some sun in Mexico. I'm just going to wait. You know what I'm going to wait for, guys? I'm just actually going to wait until like 2 days before to book it. That's what I'm going to do. 26 Gunter in the house. Rob says LOL. Peppa Pissed is saying sup. And Lord Humungus is giving us a woo in the house. Solid X are saying, I've heard Australia hasn't had a recession since early 90s. Well, actually, if you want to get really technical, they haven't had a really good reset since 1975. And that was the time to buy in the markets, you know? That's the time where Barry White was still making music. Anna K saying, Merry Christmas, Mike. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm going to do a Christmas message for you guys on Christmas Eve, and I'll do one on Christmas morning. Don't worry, guys. I won't leave you guys out. Merry Christmas to everybody. Celebrating the birth of the Savior. Mike, have you ever been to Oceania? That's basically that's not in the Caribbean. That's in the Southeast Asia. I've been to Thailand and Taiwan. I wonder if the real Kevin Thompson is in a homeless tent right now. Guys, we haven't heard from the real Kevin Thompson in a while. For those that are listening or those just joining the channel that have no idea what I'm talking about, the real Kevin Thompson is a guy that used to come on the show to tell. They used to tell everyone to buy, and buy real estate when it was the worst time to buy. And if anyone paid attention to the guy, they would have gone up maybe 2-3 basis points, and then right now they'd be sitting at a negative 15-20 basis points, or they'd be up 5 basis points, but they can't unload their property because with property taxes going up, and not only that, with insurances on condos going up, it's becoming a bigger problem, right? David Xavier is in the house. All right. Comments are moving nice here. Remember, guys, it's not about the separation, it's about the population, okay? Aussie Heatwave. Yeah, I'm trying to get our man on the ground there to give us a little bit of insight on what's happening in Australia. I know it's sizzling down there. I know it's melting concrete. Yeah, it's melting asphalt, guys. Someone's asking me if I listen to Steve Wilkos. Steve Wilkos. I know that name from somewhere. I'm not sure who that is. Steve Wilkos. That name is very familiar. Anna K says the number of motherland percentage reported by the media and news is wrong. Hence, we keep scratching our heads and need to get to the real info. Yeah, I know. Jay Borg in the house. Jordan Retro saying 12 a.m. here. Woo! I want to call one day, but I'm drunk already. Yeah, he's already drunk. With Mike in the night. All right, guys. Let's go really quick here over some channel plugs. I want to thank some of the channel plugs that make this channel possible. Gemini King, guys. If you're looking for the Mike in the Night theme song, it's right here. And if you want to comment on it, go to Gemini King channel. Type in Mike on the search. They have Mike in the Night instrumental beat, and then they have Gemini King, Mike in the Night, Mike Martin's new intro song for his series, Mike in the Night. So it's here. If you guys want to see it, Mike in the Night is here on Gemini King. I get a lot of people asking, so you just go to Gemini King -topic, and you will find me on there. And I want to thank Uneducated Economist who came on the show not too long ago on trends in the housing market. Hopefully we can get him back soon. Don't forget to check out the McChronicle. And he just did a video a few days ago discussing inflation, industrial manufacturing, stress test removal, hedge funds, and repo spike. So you got the McChronicle there. Form a Fist, Daniel. He's almost at 10,000 subscribers. Let's get him over 10,000. It's really good. His channel is growing really, really fast. Let's get his channel to grow. Missing YouTuber Cringe channel. I love this channel. I love this channel. Anyways, I'll probably get shut down. And The Walking Journey. Don't forget to check out The Walking Journey, guys. Don't forget to check out The Walking Journey. So anyways, guys, I haven't gotten a single subscriber in a few months now. I'm sitting at 11,400 subscribers right now, and it's not moving. I was sitting at 11,300 subscribers for, oh Christ, pretty much the rest of the whole summer. Like 3 months, I was sitting at 11.3, and now I've been sitting at 11.4. It's not going up, it's not going down, But when I go to my analytic thing to show who's been subscribing, I have like 20, 30 subscribers a day subscribing, but they're not registering for some reason at all. So I don't know if they're going into like a journey to nowhere where they just don't exist. And I don't know what to tell you guys. After like 11,200, it just stuck there for a couple of months, and then it went to 11,300. It stuck there, and it goes up by increments of 100, and it sits there for months. It's really weird, and I'm getting more views on BitTubers on my videos, subscriber-wise. I got a video on BitTubers, almost 2,000 views with 40 subscribers. It's really weird what's happening. So these guys, man, be careful when, these guys here, you guys do a good job. A lot of good channels here, guys. Again, Walking Journey, Missing Cringe Channel, Formafist, Machronicle, Uneducated Economist, Gemini King. You'll find the Mike in the Night song there. Instrumental, too. My channel is not growing. It's just, if I can help the other channels get themselves out there and get their word out there, because I believe in what these channels are saying, and I truly like these people very much. I would really like to see them, I would do everything in my power to push them out there as much as possible. Okay, we got Austin in the house. Lord Humungus. Everybody's in the house. David Exter says, maybe put cat videos. No, it's not that. It's like my channel is like on this weird path to nowhere. It's like there's nothing, it's not happening. There's no activity. It's just not growing. And it sits at that exact subscriber count, and it doesn't move at all. So let's go over a bit of channel news, guys, since we're on that. Where's my channel news? Right here, guys. Let's go over some channel news before we kick off tonight's show. So it sits at 11,400 subscribers. It was sitting at 11,300 for a couple of months, but I'm still getting subscribers, but they don't register. So I don't know if they're just like I said, on a path, the journey to nowhere, or a path to exile or something, and it doesn't move. I'm not going to argue with YouTube, right? It is what it is, right? You can get me here on BitTubers. Here, let me open that there, guys, so at least you could find me. I'm over here on BitTubers if you guys want to find me. I have 62 subscribers, and there's a video here with almost 2,000 views on it. And for me to get 2,000 views on YouTube, good luck. Good luck. So let's get over some channel news here. Mike in the Night playback right here. If you want to see previous shows, we got trends in the housing market. I had over 1,000 people viewing the show, and nothing happened on the viewer count. It went to 200 when it was uploaded. It's almost like nobody watched the show, and I had almost 1,000 people watching me live. Austin says, Mike, will you subscribe to my YouTube channel? Sure, buddy. I'll get on that there. There you are. I'll subscribe to you. There you go. Subscribed. All right, we got... Harlip is saying for a real estate money channel, 11K is a lot. Most I've seen is set 3 to 7K. There has been more union activity in the last 6 months than the last 10 years. That's correct. Galaxy Radio says, Mike Martins, did you hear SNC plead guilty? Yes. And Donaire says, can I buy some toys from you using hockey cards as currency? Woo! Let's go over that right now. So, morning coffee with my Mike. Guys, I put up a very important video earlier today. It's called Debt Grip. Everyone's caught in the grip of debt right now. And basically, what's growing these countries? What are these GDPs formed? How are we growing? What's showing? What's the revenue? Well, it's debt. We're in a death grip. The 4-day work week, they're thinking of implementing it with some companies. They're doing it at Microsoft. The Portuguese just started doing that in 2002, by the way, where they implemented 4-day work weeks in 2002. Canadian apartment deemed unsafe. Well, it looks like we might have an Opal Tower fiasco in Canada. Woo! Guys, go ahead and share this. Someone's asking, what about buying your games with silver? Yes, I'll weigh it in my store if I have a scale, and I'll pay at spot price for it. 100% I will. 100%, no questions asked. Guys, I got other little things here. Game store business from scratch. I got other stuff here. Yearbook. Ranson lifestyle. Lady try to pay with hockey cards to buy some gifts. Tetris apartment. Tetris apartment's good. I got the Tetris music playing in the background, and it's this weird apartment with levels in it. I don't know if you guys remember watching Seinfeld when Kramer had this idea to build levels in his apartment, just like wooden levels that just go nowhere. And that apartment there in my channel here is that one there. And rent prices in British Columbia are expected to reach $2,600. That's low income housing, yeah. Vancouver approved 7% property tax hike. Ooh. So people are caught in the grip of debt. And what is happening? Well, there is civil unrest. So we're going to get to that in a sec. Guys, go ahead and hit me up on Patreon, $1 a month. I want to get to 25 Patreon supporters. I'm only at 22. I lost a few. There I am on Patreon, $1 a month. That's $12 a year. You could also hit me up on Subscribestar. All my videos are here on Subscribestar, so you don't miss anything. Hit me up on Subscribestar. You could send me a tip on PayPal. I want to send my man Down Under who sent me a tip. And I'm also on BitTubers, guys. When you're bored or later on this evening, save this link. Get over there and subscribe. I got 62 subscribers there, and my subscriber to view count is like 3,000% higher than YouTube, or 4,000% higher. So I think there's something about my channel, and it is what it is, guys. I put a lot of effort into it, and yeah. So we got the Raven in the house. We got Humungus, AA in the house. Man, everybody's already in the house. Guys, go to the bottom of this transmission because I'm kicking off the show right now. Go to the bottom of the transmission where you see it there. Share it. Share this to your MySpace, please. Mike in the Night, live. Share this to your MySpace. I'm trying to get Evan. I can't get a hold of Evan in Hong Kong. I don't know where he's at. I really don't know where Evan's at. I'm going to try and ring him in because tonight's show is about what is happening in social, civil unrest and protests, right? Let's get to 1,000 views. Yeah, right. Share this, Owen. Everybody, Lord, Raven, Austin, Tig, Richa, everybody. Layla, share this to your, right now. Share it now at the bottom. Just share. Get this out there. Let's get some good chat tonight. Let's get some good discussion. You guys, the amount of social unrest, civil unrest, all kinds of misinformation that's going on is boggles the mind. There isn't a single continent where things are just peaceful, tranquil, beautiful water streams, just a nice river going by with a little bit of a waterfall in the background and listening to the birds chirping and taking out your blanket to set up for a nice picnic and sitting down beside your partner, pulling some fluff out of their hair and giving her a kiss and just saying, look, to us, I want to believe that that's happening everywhere, but I'm having a really tough time with the uncertainty. The uncertainty. the uncertainty we have with what's happening. Oh, Steve Stevens in the house. Got Steve Stevens in the house. All right. Okay, so let's get into some not channel news, world news, with our friends over at Zero Hedge. We'll thank my man Tyler Durden for making this happen tonight. There's a couple of on-point discussion pieces here on Zero Hedge discussing the whole civil unrest protocols, right? $3 billion, 300-acre megacity envisioned for California's record homeless. But there's a twist. Okay, here, I got a better idea. $3 billion to giving private sector the ability to hire and create more jobs in more locations. You get all those people working that want to work. And those that don't want to or need help, we're talking different now. But $3 billion for a 300-acre megacity envisioned for California's record homeless. We've been discussing how the amount of homeless people there are in California. I think it was just in LA County alone is just 46,000. Not just, I mean, it is 46,000 and it's pretty bad in LA County, right? I think Alameda County is sitting around 14,000. I know in San Diego area there, in the San Diego region, you're looking at about 13,800. Like when you start adding it up, California has a world of homelessness and it's getting really bad. Mike Banks in the house, just joining us. Thanks, Mike. Okay. Yeah, Mike Banks is saying, talk about the 50 grand parking lot spot for sale in Vancouver. Oh, I'm going to do that as its own little video. I'm actually going to I'm going to dedicate a video to that parking spot. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm going to dedicate a whole video of like 5 minutes to a parking spot that's for sale for 50 large. And then I'm going to show you guys what you could buy for 50 grand. In West Palm Beach. All right. Oh, cool. LOL. Thought you'd go off in that. Oh, it's going to be good. I'll even have like champagne and stuff when I do that. Okay. Why do East Coasters hate West Coasters? That's a discussion for another night, guys. All right, here we go. So let's look at this megacity they're looking to build. $3 billion, 300-acre megacity. Why? For civil unrest. But this looks good. This look, it's got windmills here. It's got a stadium in there. It's got all kinds of complexes in here. It's got palm trees. Man, this looks like the Ritz Royale here. Ask any San Franciscan what the state of California has an excess of, and most likely their answer be homeless people. The excrement, especially with the liberal Mecca, recording as many as 16,000 feces complaints in 1 week. I just have to reread that because I thought I made it. I read that 6,000 feces complaints in 1 week. There's such thing as a feces complaint? It's a literal poop hole. San Fran, over 16,000 feces complaints in 6,000 feces complaints in a week. View request, 16,000 found. Oh, look! Wow. I didn't think feces complaints was a thing. Wow. All right. You learn something new every day, eh? All right, actually, ask about anyone, and the answer will be the same. After all, 130,000 homeless. California is a home to more than a quarter of the nation's homeless population. So, now, this ties into tonight's show. Why? Because unrest. there's going to be unrest. So they're going to make it like this. Dormitory kind of looking like this. And it's going to have these kind of, I guess the elevators are in the middle. And everybody like just takes the elevator down. It's going to have a courtyard. It's going to have solar power, wind power. I'm for this. Like, I don't have a problem with this. But that's a lot of taxpayers' money. I'd rather spend $3 billion in this and get some people back on their feet, getting them jobs, getting them clothed, and getting them back on track than spending that on military expenditures. I'd rather spend it on this than military. That's my opinion. All right, so we got the comments going. California would rather spend $3 billion US so the homeless can go poop somewhere else than fix the ridiculous regulation taxation regime so people can actually live a normal life. And that's what I said. I'd rather throw the $3 billion into private sector. Like, grow the private sector. Start manufacturing, start fabricating. $3 billion buys you there's a lot of empty buildings across production factories, empty in parts of East LA that they could kind of bring back. Start making t-shirts that say, start making Gucci wallets to hit the street at 3 p.m. You know, there's a lot they could do, but, you know, so that's that. So this kind of ties into what we're talking about too tonight, actually. All right, 2019, the year of manufactured hysteria. We are, all of us, living in a fiction authored by those in power to serve the interests of those in power. That's just how it is. The people that get put into power, obviously, are the people that are funded by the people that want to put them into power, right? And then they are mouthpieces for the people who paid them to put them into power, right? It's kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul. The Vietnam to Afghanistan, all governments lie. Of course, we know that. This Kim's Christmas gift? Seattle images suggest North Korea. ICBM tests. I don't think so, man. Listen to this, guys. Secretive California military base rattled by 5 earthquakes in 1 day. Oof. This is the one I wanted to read for you guys. I find it very lacking. Or very troubling that most Americans lack savings. Let's take a look at the numbers here, if that's okay. Most Americans lack savings. $0. 45% of the pop right there. 45% of the pop, I say, have $0. In 1983, I could bet you 100 to 1. It was about 18 to 20% had $0. Not 45. Less than 1 large, 24%. Wow. $1,000 to $4,999, 12%. Okay, David Xavier in the comments is saying most Americans have negative net worth. That's, yeah. If you own a house and it's not paid off, you're obviously in negative territory, right? But you may not be in a negative position as long as you are making your payments or you're renting it out, right? So keep that in mind, guys. 5,000 to 9,999, 5% of the population. And like if you go to like Sydney, Melbourne, cities like Auckland, London, Toronto, Vancouver, you can't really do much with 5 to 10,000. You could go there for a week for that much money. I mean, you're spending a lot of money in those cities. $10,000 to $20,000, 5%. $20,000 to $50,000, 4%. $50,000 or more, 6% of the population has $50,000 or more. That's in the United States of America, south of us here. So $0, 45%. But who's got true savings out there? Who really has their homes paid off, their cars paid off, no debt? All they pay is their cell phone, their electricity, and their car insurance. Who really out there is not in a negative position, right? Realistically, I would say pretty much, 6% of the American population is not in a negative position. I would say a little bit more in Canada. I'd say about 11% of the population, of Canadian population, is not in a negative position where they own, like they actually own their assets. And if they have $10, they're actually up $10 because they're not leveraged, right? Health is wealth, says Lord Humungus. That's right. Owen says 200 people viewing. Mike Bank says everyone does that. I saw a rich Chinese neighbor at the food bank, bro. They own $3 million house. Wow. Brother John says proud to be the 6%. That's Brother John in the comments, people. Anna is saying, why save when North Korea is promising a Xmas surprise? All right. See if there's anything else worth reading on here. We live in hysteric times. What Trump's impeachment really means. Hidden military use of 5G technology. It's all military. It's all military. Anything. You think they invented the internet for us? This was a military. It was for military use. You think they made those highways across America for you to go travel and go to Disneyland? No, they made those highways, right, for military purposes, to move military equipment and military hardware and stuff back and forth across the country. Why do you think Hitler built the Autobahn? To move traffic back and forth into Germany, military equipment, the trains were going nuts, everything to move, right? Military equipment, right? I'm going to ask, see if I can get the Raven on the show later to ask him if they ever move military equipment like tanks and Jeeps and Humvees and stuff. All right. China faces systematic risk over debt cross default. Yeah, we already discussed that on the channel, that China's already defaulted on $18 billion bill, if you want to say it that way. New York City's Billionaires Row beats out Hong Kong for the title of world's top luxury suite. And that's it, guys, from our friends over at 00 Hedge. Alrighty, let's move on. So, let's talk about it. Unrest. Civil unrest. Worldly unrest. What's happening, people? Like, what realistically is pushing people to a point where they'll say to themselves and look at their hands and say, what do I do now? I got nothing but, I can't do anything. I can push back. That's it. There's nothing more. And that's what's happening right now. Where people don't have anything to lose right now. So what's the answer? Is to push back. And that's happened throughout history. It's not old news. This is not something we're just discovering here. But the civil unrest is getting tight. And I want to see if I could get my man. I want to get Evan on the ground here on the show. I get Evan on the show from time to time, and he's in Hong Kong. Hopefully he'll pick up.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Damn it. See, Evan's on the ground. He's been sending me a lot of information right here on what's happening in Hong Kong. And he works, he putts around town quite a bit, trying to get to work, back and forth to work. And right now, things in Hong Kong are not looking really good at all. And people have been pulling money out of their accounts. It's been Mr. E went off grid, says Solid Extra. How do you know that? Do you know that for sure? Because I know he had a mission to do at the Chinese border, and he had a few things he had to take care of. I'm not too sure if he's... I'm going to try one more time. He usually gets back to me, usually. Low Roller Scratcher says, "Is the this is from today. This is from today. The protests are still happening. They're bombarding the train stations. They're bombarding the lots of American flags flying high there. You know, and you know what's kind of funny, right? Is when abroad all these people say, "Hey, you know, we hate Americans. We don't like Americans and the American Yanks and stuff." No, you guys don't understand. You guys don't see the big picture of America. America, at one time, was basically the beacon of freedom and light. They were the ones that overthrew the monarchy, the power. They overthrew the rules that were in place and committed high treason and went against the British and the English, the British, whatever you want to call them. They were the ones that basically set or hedged a constitution, a Bill of Rights, a Declaration of Independence. They're the ones that actually formed and used God as the trust of God in their implementation. That all man is created equal. We have a freedom of speech. It's our God-given right. We have this. We have the freedom to bear arms. America the Great. If they fell long ago and their constitution got ratified years ago, we'd be in total, today, the world would be gripped in total darkness today. And that's why Americans don't want to surrender their guns. They don't want to surrender anything because they want to protect their land. They want to protect what's theirs, and they want to protect their First Amendment is basically the freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of everything. Now, when people abroad in Europe say, "Oh, I hate Americans," why do you hate Americans for? Why? What do you know about Americans? What do you know about Americans? You know? Lord Humungus is in south of Denver, Colorado. We're going to get him on the phone and find out if he will surrender his gun. Let's get him here on Colorado. He's in Colorado. Let's see if he picks up the phone. Hopefully he's not busy or he's like...
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
How are things down in the wasteland?
The wasteland is okay. I'm fighting a diabetic infection right now, so I'm kind of on my backside.
I'm so sorry, buddy.
That's all right, bro.
Are you going to be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I got some infected, basically, I don't know, like pockets that fill up with infection.
Well, you know what? Leave your link inside the chat here for your Patreon supporter. Guys, I'm supporting Lord Humungus on Patreon. Guys, everybody support him, please. He's building a house, and he's got a few things on the go. So if you could support Lord Humungus, I would very much. I would like that very much. Okay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, now civil unrest. Here are the images up on the screen from Chile, all over Latin America, turmoil in Argentina. This is all from pretty much today. It's just happening everywhere. Beirut. Lord, will you give up your gun?
No, never. That's to protect my independence, basically.
Yes.
And it's just like in Virginia, I don't know if you heard about that, but they're trying to take away people's guns. And the Democrats were threatening to use the National Guard and stuff. The National Guard will stand down. They're not going to join in that mess.
So
Did
you
you hear
won't.
about Mike?
So you won't surrender your gun. Do you think
No.
other Americans will willingly give up their arms?
Some will, but very few.
Yeah.
Not us guys that have been veterans and stuff. No,
Right.
we swore an oath to the Constitution to uphold it. You know,
And that's what
and
the president's job is, to protect the Constitution with his life.
yeah, but they never do. All politicians are all
Yeah.
garbage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all. I would tell everybody to stack real money, like I've been telling, silver, gold, because that was the money that was. It's always been the money. It's always been the universal currency. It's accepted everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not Bitcoin, not all these cryptos and stuff. You know,
Well, Lord, I got some good news for you. I
What's
picked up today. There was a coin collector that basically was passing through town on his way to the interior, and I bought a bunch of coins off him.
oh, cool.
Silver, junk silver. I picked up these. They are. I'll tell you what it is. It's a Liberty dollar from 1974.
Nice.
It's a $1 Liberty dollar, United States of America, $1. It's silver.
Was it 64 or 74?
74. It's got Eisenhower in the back.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, those are actually pretty collectible too.
They're very
I don't-
collectible. So I picked up like 25 of those.
They
So
might
I
be
have-
40% silver, Mikey. You got to check it out.
What's that?
They might be 40% silver.
No. I bought like 20, 30 of these. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Then I have this John F. Kennedy half dollars. I picked up like 30 of them. The half dollar is from I think it's from 1970 something here. It's a half dollar, and it's got John Fitzgerald Kennedy in the back, second youngest president of the United States, and
Right.
I think he's the first Catholic president, right?
Yes.
And we have also this Canadian $5 1 ounce silver coin I bought. I bought 25 of these.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in a
Yeah,
they're all in plastic protector couplings.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really like the professional. The guy's professional. He had them all, and he unloaded a little bit of it. He needed it for Christmas, and he knows I pay for my stuff. So, you know, I paid I gave him a little bit of money. The money was going for a good cause anyway, right?
Junk silver, Mike. That's what people need to understand. That the actual real dollar is, 371.25 grains of fine silver, 0.99.
So
and that's where
civil unrest all over the world. Are you going to be seeing it? Oh, let me ask you. I know you're watching from the beginning. $3 billion, 300-acre megacity for California's homeless. Why don't they just build bathrooms everywhere for people to poop instead of having these poop complaints?
Why don't they just give those 58,000 whatever homeless people $1 million and see how they spend it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
But do you think this complex is a real thing? Do you think they'll build this complex?
I have no idea. They probably will, but I mean, they try to blame it all on the homeless people, and a lot of it's psychological. They become, homeless because of different reasons. A lot of times it's the economy, it's the local job market. They lose their job, they start drinking, and they get into drugs. I mean, it's all part of the economic cycle, and that stuff's collapsing. I mean, look at Deutsche Bank; they're in a lot of trouble.
Their derivatives market, they don't have anything. Their derivatives market is so big that they don't even have like it on paper anymore and sealed and like what do you call it, notarized anymore, because it's just too much work.
That's part of the problem. The derivative, what does derivative mean? It means it derives its value from somewhere. This economy is so ass backwards that we derive off of paper, and contracts, and there's no value in those. I mean, the underlying commodity is really what is the true wealth. Gold, silver, precious metals, hard assets. That's why people I mean, they got to see that this is coming. I mean, that's why I don't even like the whole crypto thing is bullshit too.
Yeah, I know you're very anti-crypto. I know you're very anti-crypto.
Well, I mean, there's no value. Where does it derive its value from? You got to ask yourself that question.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where does anything derive its value from?
That's
You
correct.
know,
Yeah, from
I mean,
trinsit, from trinsit, uh, actual weight.
yes, intrinsic value. It has to have intrinsic value to be valuable
It's
as a
got to have a
commodity.
weight to it, basically.
Not just a weight. It's got to have a use or a purpose.
Right.
Just like oil has a many purposes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So, do you see
but
civil unrest? Do you see, honestly, people? Do you see people in America sparking some? I know we have social unrest right now. We got all these media. It's just manufactured hysteria, right? But
right.
do you
Yeah, a
see
lot of
it?
it is.
Do you see
But
it
there's
getting civil unrest? I know we're socially unrested.
Yeah, I mean, I can see with the food shortage. Yeah, I could absolutely see that happening. I could see the breakdown happening totally.
Mm.
You know, I mean, when people lose everything, like even Gerald Celente says they lose it. You know what I mean?
Yep. When people have nothing, they just fight back.
Exactly. Well, what else? What else are they expected to do?
Right. Right.
So yeah, the system. The system's garbage, man. It's falling apart. There's going to be some kind of a reset. It's going to have to go back to sound money because you got too many of these jokers on all these parties that have basically been thieving and stealing from America, from Canada, from everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
all countries. It's the government. They're the ones that are the
Australia is in a bucket of doom too.
yes, yeah. And then they start merging with communists, and communists come in and buy up. That's why China's trying to buy up South American, agricultural products now.
Right.
It always comes back down to the food, man. China is in a lot of trouble with their food supply. That's and if you want to win a trade war, I guess. I mean, I don't know why Trump wouldn't just be like, look, we'll give you guys food, but they're gonna have to wipe out a lot of that BS debt that we've all created in this global economy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's the problem. This whole debt load. It's almost as phony as the stuff that comes printed off the paper mills or the printing presses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
and it's got to go back to a sound money system again, and free trade among nations. We trade for this or we trade for that, and it's got to be fair.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
That's exactly what
there's
has to happen. And
there's too much leverage. That's where they get leverage in the system, right? So they can derive from nothing this power, and they can get all this leverage and go in and buy up real assets and real production and real agriculture, real uh, manufacturing bases. Yeah, it's like we're all peasants, and the ones that control the money supplies and they print the money from nothing. They know this.
well,
That's
we're
why
all
you think
serfs now. We're all serfs. We're all serfs.
we don't have to be.
Right.
I mean, in my mind, I'm not. I'll never surrender. I never will. Why surrender? Why play with their rules? You don't have to play by their rules. There's always alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay,
But
Lord. Thanks for coming on and giving us your inside story, inside scoop on what you think. It's really good to hear your point of view.
yeah, instead of like Patreon supporters, Mikey, I mean, I put on my YouTube page. They can send me something directly. It would probably be easier for me.
Okay, well, I'll plug you on the YouTube here with the other channels. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, brother.
God bless you. Get well soon. Okay. Merry Christmas. If I don't speak to you before then.
Merry Christmas, brother.
All
You
right. Bye.
too. Bye.
All right, that's Lord Humungus in Denver, Colorado, who said he will never surrender his gun. He's got a Mac 10, but he'll never surrender his weapons. I don't know what he has. I'm just joking. I don't know why I said that. I don't know what he has, but yes, he won't surrender. Okay, civil unrest everywhere. We got civil unrest in Iran. 7,000 people arrested in Iran. We're going to see an Arab Spring for sure, and we're going to see a Latin American Spring. Tear gas bullets, romance, protesters demonstrate love amid civil unrest. This is in Chile. This is in Chile. Love is all around. See it in the air. Feel it in the air. Hope is everywhere. Love is all around, guys. Let's move on. Widespread unrest in South America, Latin Spring, or isolated protests? Brazil's kind of shaky too. President's lying. I don't really trust the Brazilian president too much. I think he's a better choice of what was out there, but I don't know, you know. And then while everyone's watching the impeachment hearing, while everyone's watching the impeachments, this is happening all over the world. Indian citizenship law, protesters across the country defy ban. First protester dies in Colombia's anti-government unrest. Riots, turmoil in Argentine peso, tremendous toll for tourism in Chile. That's Chile too. Iran's deadly protests. Yeah, in these countries, in the Middle East, they shoot to kill, man. They don't care. They don't have a constitution. They don't have a right, a freedom to assemble, a freedom to protest, a freedom of the press. In Iran, it's shoot to kill, buddy. What else we got going on here? There's so many, man. I don't even know where I am. Street battles in Beirut as counter-protesters clash with police. Beirut protests turn violent as economic engulfs Lebanon. Lebanon is small, but it's enough to trigger an Arab Spring. Hezbollah supporters attack protesters in Lebanon's capital. Hezbollah would be, I guess you would call them the Antifa? Antifa, anyone? A generation criminalized how 6 months of protests changed Hong Kong forever. So this is what's happening in Hong Kong right now. This is by CNN. I don't even trust anything they have to say. The only person I trust, I want to get on the phone here and see if he could pick up in Hong Kong and give us a little bit of insight. More Hong Kong protests could spark a stronger U.S.-China accord. The real reason for Hong Kong's riots, education, and opportunity. Look at that, man. Wow. This guy's even outside in his pajamas. Haiti's civil unrest reaches chaotic, disruptive point. Republic of Chile travel advisory update. Yeah, protests have largely taken place. Yeah. That's what we're seeing all over the place, guys. We're seeing this everywhere. People are just getting to a point where they, it's like, I brought it up in a show a while back ago. When people when people lose everything, they end up basically, good timing, we got the Raven.
Hey, sorry to bother you.
You're not bothering me, buddy. I was just going to call you anyway.
I got to go to work in 15, 20 minutes here.
Oh, I didn't know. I would have had you on first. I didn't know, buddy.
No, it's okay. I'm at work. I'm just in the parking lot.
Oh, good. You're listening to Mike in the Night?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. I have my coffee and listen to Mike in the Night before work. That's what I do on Saturdays.
Yes.
But you're talking about Haiti. Mm-hmm. There's only like 200 protesters showed up at the last protest because the people are getting bribed. They're getting bribed with food. They're giving them guns. They're telling them to shoot protesters. So everybody's too scared to protest there. That's what's happening in Haiti. They're bribing the protesters with food so they don't show up. So the protests there are just dwindling down to nothing. There's like no one left to protest because everyone's too scared to go in the streets because they're going to get shot. That's what's happening in Haiti.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
The problem is that's happened a lot in Central Africa, where they had a lot of rigged elections in the last couple of years, and protesters were just getting shot.
Yeah. Well, pretty much every election on the planet is rigged, except for maybe your high school presidency at high school. Maybe that wasn't rigged. Everything else, I'd say, is probably pretty much rigged. So that rigging is everywhere, and that's a common protest point on all the protests is government corruption. You know, there's several things that tie all these protests together. Mm-hmm. Hong Kong, not really. Hong Kong's a different animal, but like Lebanon and Chile and a lot of those protests there are all tied together from government corruption and people just being poor, populism, and stuff like that. But you know, the one that really gets me is that Narendra Modi in India, how he made it so that the people in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan can have an easier time getting citizenship in India. As long as you're not Muslim. Mm-hmm. As long as you're not Muslim, you can. That's 200 million people went nuts. Can we talk worldly unrest? Mm-hmm. That sounds like a plan. You know, the little countries, I think those are just corrupt countries falling apart. But you know, it seems to me like people are using India as a testing ground for, say, I don't know, remove the $1,000 rupee, remove the $500 rupee, see what that does.
Mm-hmm. And they've been working on that. We've been actually discussing that on the show. We've been actually you've discussed that on the show actually many times.
And let's float the idea in India that let's ban cryptocurrencies, $7.5 million fine or 10 years in jail. Let's ban cryptocurrencies. You know, let's float that idea. Okay, now let's float some civil unrest there. Right? Let's see. You know, it's like a testing ground. They're getting this whole planet ready. They're getting it all ready. They test some stuff in this country. They never test it in North Korea. They'll never test it in Iran. What's happening in Iran was done by the Americans. Right. They did that through their sanctions.
Well, they caused the first Arab Spring, right? And it spread all the way up to Egypt, and it was a huge. I'm just trying to find that article that you mentioned. I have it here. I don't see it. I know that in the India one there, the protest there. There it is. Here it is. Yeah, India citizenship law. Protesters across country defy ban. So
that's insanity. You can't do that to those people. Narendra Modi is a Hindu. That's a very peaceful. People. You can't do that. Even the Hindus are protesting. Mm-hmm. That you can't do that. That's not just Muslims. Hindus are saying you can't do that to these people. Why is he doing that? You know?
You know what? I guess it's a case of what do they call it? They called it in South Africa. There was a name for it. Zion, it's not Zion. It's a xenophobic.
Xenophobic. Yeah. And so and there's enough problems in Africa right now. The problems are all over. Zimbabwe out of corn in the next month. Sudan. They got protests all over the place there. You can't even keep track of their protests. But the ones that are in like Peru, dissolving Congress, that they dissolved their Congress and their battle with their politicians, anti-corruption anti-corruption campaign. And you know that another thing with that Peru is that girl Kiko, what's her name, Fujimori, the daughter of the former president, was let out.
That's right.
Let out of jail, and now they're protesting over that. And her dad's in jail for 25 years from human rights violations and corruption. You know, it sounds very corrupt to me, that whole problem there. And you can float over to France. You know, the increase in their hydrocarbons tax, which will increase their fuel tax.
Yes, you know, and that's why you got farmers sleeping on the loop there in the circle there in France.
Yeah, you know, and the Netherlands, the climate control, the Climate Act for the farmers, they're protesting by driving 3,500 tractors down the highway. Mm-hmm. This is across the board, but I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, it's going to get worse." Oh, it's going to get worse. But remember, you're going to become too immune to it. You'll be immune to this. It's going to be a low drone buzz in the background. You're going to be so used to it that you're going to be so used to this that you're just not going to care anymore. So they're going to, what really gets me out of all these protests is India. Why would a smart, intelligent guy like that do that to 200 million people unless he's trying to do something else than what he's really saying he's doing? There's a nefarious attachment to that decision.
Well, Raven, remember there's a lot more underlying things. We only got 50% of the ingredients here. We don't got the full ingredients to bake the cake. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
we never do. We never, no matter what we think we know. We only got 50% of the story. You know what I'm saying? We only get enough to kind of keep us in the loop of what we think is going on, but they never tell us the whole reason why, right?
That's why you got to keep reading and studying everything you have. Our foundation's built on lies and deception. Look at the story of the gold audits that they've been doing. They've been breaking the seals on the gold audits since 1983. That guy who came out on Zero Hedge proved that story. Our gold audits are all false. It's all
actually,
Raven.
It actually 1974 was one of the first false gold audits that were actually debunked back in the early 90s. It was actually 1974.
Yeah, and then you got the 21 trillion missing dollars. You know, like everything to do with our monetary system is a lie.
Raven, I lost $21 trillion the other day when I got out of my car. I think I dropped it on the floor.
21 trillion. What is Zimbabwe dollars?
No, it's Tanzania or Zimbabwe. Yeah, a $16 trillion bill. Yeah. Speaking of that, hey, I picked up some silver. A lot of these coins today, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I got some pretty good ones here. This $5 Canadian 1 ounce silver coin's beautiful. And this half dollar, I got like 30 of these half dollars. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, half dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, really happy to get these today.
Can't go wrong with those.
No. So, okay.
Humungus is right.
Civil unrest. We have social unrest because we are, even, you know what, Zero Hedge is on the money today. Zero Hedge is the best. I went on Zero Hedge today. I mean, they were so on the money today when it came to actually discussing what we're talking about tonight. So, guys, xenophobia, the word, we used it earlier. Xenophobia is a fear of hatred of that which is perceived to be foreign or strange. Xenophobic can involve participants of an in-group or toward an out-group that can manifest itself in suspicion of activities of others. So that's what it means, guys, and that's what's happening right now in India. But you know what? If you go to Zero Hedge and look at their last 5 articles, it's all about tonight's show. $3 billion, 300-acre megacity envisioned for California's record homeless, but there's a twist. So do you see this as a FEMA camp? I know I'm going to call you our conspiracy discussion analyst. You're going to be our geopolitical conspiracy analyst that actually looks at conspiratory things that are happening within our governments or within our public and private sector, right? So do you think they're building this mega city? Do you see it as a FEMA camp? What do you see this in? What are they envisioning here? $3 billion, 300 acre. Why don't they just give that to the private sector?
It's all a waste of time, Mike. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist.
No, I understand.
Look at all the information.
No.
That camp's a waste of time. That camp's a waste of time. Looking at the politics of parties is a waste of time. I'm looking at the end result of what's going on with our world today. Mm-hmm. It's not good. This is going to come about really quickly. You better be prepared. I'm not saying go buy guns and all that, but I'm saying that what I'm saying is 3 months of food and water in your house.
Yeah, that's
3 months.
Yeah.
I don't care about this camp. I will start looking at the problems that everybody's looking at once we get through this reset. I don't know how this reset's going to go. It's probably not going to go very well for a lot of people. Those people will probably be on the other side of the grass when this is over. I just want to get through that. Then we can talk about the lovey-dovey, the progressive conservatives. Oh, hey, maybe we can elect a new mayor. I don't care about that stuff now. I don't care about the camp. I don't care about that. I'm looking at why they're doing this, why they're causing social unrest, why they want to get everybody's, I have a feeling that they're going to try and make a push for us to go into And I know people say it's years away, but I think that they want to go for a one world government. They say they do. You can see that what they're doing here, causing chaos all over the planet. That's what I look at. These little stories about that stuff, I just find it that it's not something I should really designate much time to. I'm trying to look at the big stories and figure out exactly what are these guys up to, man. What, like, you can really track them, but you catch them in so many lies, and there's so much mischievous stuff. Like, we know the impeachment, that's all just a baby rattle getting you to look off in the corner.
Of
That's
course, impeachment is ring around the rosy. You know that.
Yeah. So, and I think that whole climate thing, I don't know what to think about that. I can't even put a handle on that. I don't even know what to think about climate. I don't. That's something they're probably using in a nefarious way.
I told you, I've been telling you this for how long now? I've been telling you this.
I know.
Dude, listen.
I know you have a life-size Greta Thunberg poster in your room. I know you do.
No, it's actually a cardboard cutout. It's at the top of my stairs.
Okay.
So 2019. So let's look at the next Zero Hedge article. And this is exactly what you just said right now. 2019, the year of manufactured hysteria.
Yeah.
I just have an intro to say to that. It's going down for real.
Crisis scenarios are what keep dictators in power.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Hitler in 1933. What's that? What was that act that he passed there? Or the Patriot Act in 2009.
Yeah.
Crisis scenario. They use these scenarios. But I do believe that all these small Latin American countries and those are just corruption and greed, and that's not some bigger, greater force. Maybe something inflicted by the Americans to get some other, something else done there. But I think those little countries are just greed and corruption. They're falling apart. India, Hong Kong and India, I think that those are something behind the scenes that we don't really know what's going on, the whole story there, especially India. That one just doesn't make sense to me why he would do that.
No, it's a brutal form of segregation.
A brutal form of destabilizing a country. Did you see the protests? They're burning trains and all kinds of buildings. Look what the sanctions did to Iran. They burned how many banks? They went nuts. And look how many.
What about the
people are
runoff
getting
on the Hong Kong banking system? Apparently, everyone's pulling their money out.
Yeah, and look at China though. They're having. I think it was Wall Street for Main Street put up a little video clip of them doing a bank run in China, and they were saying the police were beating people, trying to stop them from taking their money out.
Yes. I had Shanghai Larry sent me an email about 2 weeks ago about that, and people buying gold and silver 20 to 50% over spot. Yeah,
spot prices take off, or premiums take off.
Yeah,
because you can't get around the suppression of the paper market, so the premiums are going to skyrocket. 100% they were before. So that's the only way the dealers can make money, eh? Don't worry, I think we'll break that COMEX lock sooner or later, and and it'll run.
Mm-hmm.
Get your silver.
Yeah. So civil unrest. People's voices are being. I want to play this clip here. I have it here on the side, and I played this for you guys about a year ago, and it's a very important clip. We're gonna wait till the Raven goes to work. Raven, are you gonna go off to work now, or are you? I hear some noise in the background.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna take off here. I'm just about to leave my truck.
Okay,
I got about.
You take care. You have a good night. You stay safe. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
All right. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
That is the Raven on his way to work. He was listening to Mike in the night in his truck. He's our geopolitical world analyst who basically comes on with the end game. Just come on. I'm going to call him the Raven, the end gamer. This is the end game. Hey, Raven, I'm thinking of building this house. Well, this is what it's going to look like. Wow, that was quick. He's the end gamer. He's basically the guy who's going to give us the end game right up front. No questions asked, no debates. Okay. What do we got going on? Lots of people in the comment section here tonight. Supreme Cannon in the house. In spite of that, Brexit past the EU is pooched. Never forget, it's a war, not a death march. Stan Ulch in the house. Good to see you, buddy. We're becoming the Vogons. Solo Extra 401. All right, guys, this is very important. Pay close attention. I brought this up, and fighting and oppressing people in 1 minute and 31 second clip. And this is the reason why they speak Portuguese in Brazil. But listen to why. It's very important.
I would love to expand my operations into your countries. But quite frankly, your business methods are too violent. Let me tell you a true story. 500 years ago, the Portuguese and the Spanish came here, each trying to get the country from their natives. The Spanish arrived, guns blazing, determined to prove us boss. The natives killed every single Spaniard.
Yep.
Personally, I prefer the methods of the Portuguese. They came bearing gifts, mirrors, scissors, trinkets.
Yep.
Things that the natives couldn't get on their own. But to continue receiving them, they had to work for the Portuguese. And that's why all Brazilians speak Portuguese today. Now, if you dominate the people with violence...
So if you dominate the people with violence...
they will eventually fight back, because they have nothing to lose.
Right there.
And that's the key. I go into the favelas and give them something to lose. Electricity, running water.
So this is basically the good life we are living now, like in these Western countries. Electricity, running water, that kind of stuff. And we have a taste of the good life here. But in the Latin countries and other countries and Arab countries and all over parts of Africa, they're starting to lose the taste of that good life. And what are they doing? They're fighting back. And that's why we're getting this civil, social, economic, all this unrest in every spectrum. Right? Okay, Jeff Celacero's in the house. We got Mike Banks in the house. I need Mike Banks to call into the show. Yeah, we got Stan Ulch saying Mexico is an effing war zone. I try to get a couple of friends on via Skype on the show. They just don't speak English. That's the problem. And I would have to ask them a question in Spanish and tell you guys what I'm saying. Unless there's like a live translator, like live, and you could actually translate live when I'm speaking to somebody in Mexico or something. Because there's people I know in several different states in Mexico. And of the 8 different states, there's only like 2 states that are not in problems, like with social unrest and people outside of government buildings and throwing things around and starting fires. There's only 2 states that are not like that, right? One of them is Puebla, and I think the other one is Veracruz. So those are the only ones that I know of that are not. Everything else is just like Guerrero is like along the American-U.S. border is like kind of uneasy, right? So all right, let's see who else is here. So I'm trying to see who's in there. We got the Raven on. Really good to have him on early in the show. Sometimes I'm not sure with his schedule. You know, he's a working man, right? We got, who do we got here? Unrest. Who else we got? Oh my God, it's the Lost Canuck. He's on. But it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to call him there right now. He'll probably be really mad. It's actually his birthday. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to call him. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's wake up the Lost Canuck. Let's see if he picks up. He's not picking up. Yeah, his thing. It's 1 a.m. I really don't want to call him. He's gonna be like, I know it's his birthday though. So, let's get Real German Instincts if he could come on the show. Mike, do we take our money out of the bank? No, you keep your money in the bank for now. We're not in an economic unrest right now. I mean, technically on paper we are. If you look at our numbers, it's just horrific. If you look at some of the bank numbers, if you look at some of the bank, if you look at their portfolios and what they're leveraged out, it's really bad on paper. But I mean, we're still living a decent life, right? You know what I'm saying? U.S. Nightbirds on Saturday night with Mike in the Night. So I can't get Real German Instincts on. I want to get Supreme Cannon on. He's always there on the sidelines, ready to go. We got Stephen Thomas there in Melbourne, Australia. I'm not sure what he's doing. So we got Canadian Girl saying, best Mike Martin's best YouTube channel ever. Thank you so much. And David Xavier saying CIBC. Yeah, I'm really concerned, guys, about this uneasiness that we're getting. This uneasiness that we are kind of we have, I don't know, this uneasiness we're feeling with I'm just trying to say, someone's asking. Oh, okay, we got Dylan. I think Dylan's a local here in Merritt. Let's see what he's got to say. Yeah, he just messaged me, but he's not picking up. I'll get him on the show. He was talking. He came in the store and talked to me a bit about what's been going down, with what's happening in the world and stuff. He looks like he's a fighter. He looks like an MMA fighter, and wanted to get him. Okay, Mike, I didn't get a noise. Oh, let's try again. It's not picking up for some bizarre reason. Nathan in the house. Stephen Hall in the house. Stephen Hall is saying, finally got my older sister to start prepping and slowly move her millions from the thieves. Kaholke is saying, think about this. The average Canadian has nearly $850,000 in cash savings per cap. The federal government is merely needs $33 billion to bail out the savers and replace the bank reserves. Okay, here's Dylan. Yo, Dylan, what's up, buddy?
Hey, not much. So I've been following you for quite some time, and you're absolutely right. The issue of BC and the West is we don't get enough federal dollars.
Oh, of course. You know you're live right now, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, okay. No, I just want you to know because I thought maybe you were messaging me to talk to me. And
yeah,
I'm like, well, you're live.
I've been wanting to talk to you on the show for years. I've been such a fan of yours. Mm-hmm. Ever since you were based in Vancouver, I started picking up your show, but we just haven't been able to connect.
Yeah, no big deal. So what is happening? You seeing all this civil unrest? We're seeing, we have right now in the West, we're pretty much gripped with social unrest, but we're headed towards more of a civil unrest in the Latin countries, in Africa, and in the Middle East. What do you think it's people just broke, don't have money, fighting back? Do you think it's the government policies? Do you think it's lack of jobs? What do you think, in your opinion, is causing all this upheaval?
It's all three, Mike. Due to the internet, we now see what's truly going on with our higher ups. Look at Brexit, for example. Mm-hmm. They had a petition. It went through. They had an election, hung parliament. So now they have to run another election. And that,
It's Mickey
That
Mouse.
costs money. It's Mickey Mouse. Boris Johnson is a fool, right? But hey, he won because the newspaper said that he was the only man for the job.
Let me ask you this one question. You know why they're filtering everything and kind of putting everything basically on the back burner, like everything's on the back burner, and why we're getting this hyper-social unrest and civil unrest is I think the 2020 elections for the United States is in the air, and I think that social media and all these platforms have been punished because Hill Dog lost the election.
Absolutely right. Hill Dog was an asset of the globalists, whoever they are, and Trump was an outsider. He had his own thoughts on the matter, and he won due to social media. If you look at his social media, it was way better than Hillary's, and Barack Obama's social media was way better than John McCain's.
Right.
And that's what got people out to vote for those people. I was very active in the BC NDP social media movement, and I came across on Twitter with people that I may not have agreed with on anything else in my life, except for we have to get the BC Liberals out of office. They're corrupt.
Right.
And it turned out that we were all right, that they were corrupt. They were lying about the economy. You know, the BC bank balance is what I'm saying. They had all these promises to these large bureaucracies, construction companies,
handouts, tons of handouts, red tape, bureaucracy.
Yeah, you know, like there's all these big projects that we didn't need, but they said that we needed them to grow our economy, and it was all just lies funded by Post Media.
Right.
You know, I mean, you got to check out the Gangsters Out blog. He started doing blogging about the crime in Surrey, BC, and he started posting the gang members' Facebook photos, saying this guy's a cocaine dealer, etc. Don't employ him. He's bad.
Kind of like the dirty.
Yeah, kind of like the dirty, exactly. But he now ventures mainly into Surrey politics.
Okay. So he's people are basically trying to make a difference from within people within the grip. The people that are in this grip are the ones that are going to, I think, voice the loudest, right? Yeah,
absolutely. His blog, he doesn't advertise it. He just does it as a passion, just like you. You do this show as a passion. And you're no different than Lila Yulee. Have you heard of that journalist on the island?
I'm not too sure. Does she know me?
She might have heard of you, but she wrote this really interesting blog post a couple of years back called 99 Ways the BC Liberals Need to Get Out of Office.
I think, I looked at that actually, and I think I read that on my channel.
Yeah, I mean, she made some really strong comments. Every year it was a new tax increase or a new increase of whatever. And I completely agree with you. Like, taxes in these major cities, they're way too high. They are
going to have to keep going up because they're not offsetted by the Canadian proper that used to live in those cities that were pushed out into rural areas. Those people actually devoted and gave into the infrastructure, and not only that, they gave into to the municipalities, and the municipalities are losing on that front.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of loopholes that they've given to the big business community that they need to get rid of, such as foreign investors tax. That should have been in 2000. You know, the province would have made so much money if we had even just a 10% foreign buyers tax.
And the province could have reallocated some of the funds towards the homeless issue.
Exactly, and the homeless issue is because they sold off all those housing units.
So you're in Vancouver, right?
I was in Vancouver. I got pushed out. I was from Vancouver, and now I live in Chilliwack.
Okay, are you seeing crime going up, car break-ins, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, there's a lot of homeless people in Chilliwack. They all got pushed from the city because they were just salt of the earth working class and they got kicked out of their apartments.
Now, let me ask you, theoretically, do you see? I know we're in a state of social unrest because you don't know what to hear anymore, or you don't know what's propaganda anymore. But in your opinion, do you ever see Canadians pushing back like you're seeing in these other continents? Do you see Canadians, or do you see them being more docile and kind of it's not for me?
I see us as being more docile, but again, it's because A, it's so damn cold 6 months out of the year, and B, we have so much. What's the word? We have such a monopoly on the media. Jody Wilson said in her testimony, at one point she talked to KDT in the Prime Minister's office, and KDT said, well, if you're feeling nervous or unsure about a decision, KDT has a bunch of sources that she can go to and get an op-ed in the newspaper about what to do. So this lady who works in the Prime Minister's office is spinning the newspapers for pro-government opinion in the newspapers. Well, the newspapers are supposed to be independent. They're supposed to be journalists.
They're watchdogs.
Yeah, exactly, right? Remember all those Fifth Estate shows that used to be on the CBC?
Right.
And Live It Up? Remember that show?
I remember. And what's that other guy? The guy that makes a comedian, but he'd actually bring the forefront but make a joke of it. What was his name? Mercer, the Mercer Report.
Yeah, the Mercer Report. Like, we don't have those shows anymore. We have shows like your show, Mike.
Mike in the Night.
Yeah, like it's all open source, I guess you could say, right? It's all crowdfunded. There's a girl in Ontario, and she does more world issues. Her name is Amazing Polly, and she does these video shows, and she takes a look at the links between family dynasties and politics and big business. It's amazing how much corruption there is at the upper level. When you get to a certain income
brackets,
you just bracket. Yeah, when you get to a certain income bracket, you say, well, I'll always be wealthy. That doesn't apply to me. And
I'm seeing what you're saying, but it's like what's his name used to say all the time, from the Corbett Report. Follow the money. The money is your breadcrumbs. The more you follow the money, the more you will get into what is happening, and the further you go in, it's harder to get out. And when you're there, it's almost mesmerizing in a way that it's been happening under our noses.
The thing is, when you get guys like the PMO's top advisor of that guy who lied under his teeth, what was his name? He lied to support Justin Trudeau. The Privy Council officer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right, I'm sure he was making well over 100,000 a year.
Well, you still can't live in Vancouver with $100 large a year.
Well, but he was living in Ottawa, and he'd probably. I mean, if he researched his background, he probably went to a private school, and he worked. It's all about keeping your paycheck at the end of the day. I mean, you don't see the Raven jumping off his work shift to stay up and talk to you all night. We all have bills to pay, but in Canada, we don't protest because I don't think there's enough people, and B, it's so damn cold 6 months of the year. I mean, how are you going to maintain a protest in the middle of minus 30?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember back, I think it was 82 or 83, New York State, and New York City, just in the Manhattan area, in the packing district, they had a lot of strikes going on. They had these big bonfires in those metal cans, like those metal barrels.
Yeah.
And back then, they would picket and protest, and they'd keep it going. But those are Americans, right? Those are Yankees, right? That's the... Yeah. It's different. I guess it's a different, I don't know. I just see Canadians being more like, whatever. It is what it is.
I also think it's the West Coast lifestyle. Like you and I are both from BC, and we see it in a lot of people that they're like, "Oh, it's raining out. I don't want to go out." Well, it's just rain. Like
It's just rain. It's not like it's like Fukushima or not Fukushima. What do you call that? It's the Chernobyl rain when it was going. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the West Coast is very laid back. But you see more so in other states, other areas of the world, they are protesting because they're starving. They know that the government is withholding resources from them.
I understand. It's. I'm just trying to fathom. It's the biggest puzzle. It's the biggest puzzle. It's the biggest missing conception. The missing. It's the mystery. It's. I don't know. I think it's the further you get towards the truth, I think the harder it is to get back out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. I mean, there's a global octopus of control, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a book called The Global Octopus of Control by Charlie Robinson. It's on ebook.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. What he did was he started it by getting 500 quotes. That's how he starts the book, is by 500 quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, wow, you know, that's the way you write a book, is getting 500 quotes. That's original.
Right.
And once I get it, I'll send you a copy too.
Well, you know where my shop is.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, you know, this is Canada, right? You know, like everything coming across the border costs so much more.
It does. I don't know if you saw me trying to mail stuff to America, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's just crazy that they're going to.
And it's our government doing that. It's not the American side. It's our government. Like, you want to ship to America?
Yeah.
Well, you got to give us an extra $15 for what? Yeah.
That's so Canadian, right? You know, and you know what? That's because they refused the post offices to go into any other line of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have all these great locations in the center of town all over the world. What else can we do with those locations?
Right.
Right?
Are you seeing? Let me ask you something. Are you seeing tent cities in where you're at? Any tent cities? I think we lost him. You're saying? I think we lost him. Hold on. No. Hold up. Let me call him back. Let me get him on to say good. Let's see if he picks up. Oh, there he goes. It's ringing.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, sorry about that. We lost you. I was asking you. I was in the middle of asking you. Did you have? Are you seeing a lot of tent cities in your area?
Yeah, there's a lot. In Chilliwack, there's a lot of homeless people. There's just way too many, and they do drugs just to deal with being on the street all the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates a lot of problems for the police that the city has actually hired private security to deal with them.
Okay.
Because it's cheaper than hiring social workers, right? Or cheaper than hiring people to build multifamily units. You know, there's a lot of red tape in Canada, as you know, with the issue of mailing envelopes to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So much red tape. I mean, it's both good and bad, right? It protects our jobs, it protects our health care and our public way of life, but at the same time, it takes so much money out of our pocket.
It does. And we don't create an underground economy. If we don't create an underground economy, we're not spending, like, you know, more money into our systems. And I think that's going to, it takes a couple of years of lag for it to catch up. But when it does, it's going to get brutal.
You know what we really need as Canadians is a underground economy app so that we can just wire transfer everybody money, you know, like when
it's
you go
to
cryptocurrency.
Business.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really believe in cryptocurrency yet because you have to use real currency to get this cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little early, but I support stuff like that. I mean,
mm-hmm. As do I.
Yeah?
But I think cryptocurrency is in its pioneer stages, in my opinion. It works. It's a great idea. I think it's phenomenal. But I think cryptocurrency is in its pioneer stage.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, but you know what? Every little bit helps.
It all does. It all
You
does.
know, like every time the police are held accountable and punished by the courts, it's a win for society as a whole.
It is. Because remember, police need to remember they're public servants, right?
That's right. You know, they can't just walk into your home or, you
Demand
know,
a breathalyzer test.
yeah, like stop you in the middle of the street and accuse you of something and then lock you up just because they have a quota to meet. And that's the way it is in some countries.
Right. Right. All right, Dylan. I'm going to let you go, buddy.
No,
And
thank you for calling. Thank you for doing all you do, Mike.
oh no, I'm just here. We're just here to hang out. You know, we're
Yeah,
just here to hang out. It's nighttime. It's Saturday night. There's not much going on for some people, and you know what? Let's just call in and talk to each other.
absolutely. No, anytime, Mike.
Merry Christmas, Dylan.
You too. Merry Christmas to everybody on your channel.
Thank you. God bless. Bye.
God bless. Bye bye.
That's my man Dylan in Chilliwack. So Chilliwack's about a 45 to 50-minute drive, depending on how fast you drive, from Vancouver. And people are being pushed out of the city to the east. So you're getting unrest. You're getting people being... we're creating zones of pain with unaffordable cities. And Canada has a lot of zones of pain. So does Australia. Australia has a lot of zones of pain because there's a lot of cities they can't... The Australian proper that works full-time can't afford to live in. It's out of reach. So these zones of pain are pushing them out, further out, and they're taking lower income jobs because they're further away from the capitals. And how do you think other capitals and other cities get developed or created? You know, because of that, because of people having to forced into other parts or other areas of countries or of their country or their own people can't even afford to live in their own damn country. We have an Arab Spring right now. We have a Latin Spring right now in Latin America. All right, we got some plugs here. We got Gemini King. Don't forget to check him out. If you want the Mike in the Night, just type in Mike at Gemini King. A lot of people are asking for the Mike in the Night theme song. Here it is, guys. Gemini King. I got like 8 people ask me this week, so here it is.
Gemini King, Mike in the Night.
So if you guys want to grab it, it's right there. And Uneducated Economist, The McChronicle, Formafest, Missing Cringe YouTuber, Walking Journey. Don't forget to check out those guys. Oh yeah, and I think Lord Humungus. I don't think I have. He's gonna have. Leave a link, Lord Humungus, in the chat there, so I could open your page. What else we got going on here, guys? We got civil unrest all over the world. Wow. So $3 billion / 300 acre mega city envisioned for California's record homeless. I'm going to have to reopen this, guys, because this has to do with unrest. Why are there so many homeless people? Well, a lot of people got by on their pensions. A lot of people made it on their pensions just to pay a minimal rent and get by. Now, people especially in California, they're doing a lot of rent evictions where they're evicting people to fix up their place, either to sell it to some foreign investor or to basically get people to pay more money, right? That happened in Nevada, happened in Salt Lake City, Utah. It happened in a lot of cities where a lot of people paying rent for 20, 30 years get all of a sudden evicted, not for being a bad tenant, but because they're going to rent it out to a Californian that has more money. So this facility is actually interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because citizens scan their wristbands through access turnstiles to gain entry to their residential building. Their dorm rooms and venues, as well as perform tasks such as job check-ins, purchase items with credits, check their daily schedule, account for meals, log medicine consumption, and more. Tunnels under the city will be used to minimize disruption of citizen life. Deliveries and logistics can be performed without clogging the city streets. Wow. I'm just really baffled that they're looking or thinking of building. Is this at the FEMA camp that everyone's been talking about? But 300 acres, how many homeless? Like, I mean, this thing is like the Jetsons here. Look, it's got solar power in the back. It's got a stadium here. Oh, look, it's got Bo Jackson. Is that Bo Jackson? Can't tell who that is there on the on that little billboard there. A football player. They got an aquatic center. I mean, this is nice. Look at basketball courts here. It's got squash courts here. It's got loading and industry. Oh, there's the train tracks going through for deliveries. All right. What do we got for civil unrest around the world? Widespread South America Latin Spring. India. Colombia's out of control right now. And then they have the Contra problem in their forests, in their rainforests, with anti-government Contras that are there. Riots, turmoil in the Argentine peso. Argentine and Chilean peso are the record lowest, just the winning the awards for the worst performing currencies in the world right now. So riots taking a toll on tourism in Chile. Where the heck is this again? Oh, yeah, this is Iran's deadly protests. All right, where the heck is Supreme Cannon? Where the heck is this guy? Let me see. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Supreme, where are you? Where are you, Supreme Cannon? Come on, Supreme, where are you? There you are, my Supreme Cannon. Let's get Supreme Cannon on. He's not picking up. I hope he didn't get arrested. Mike Martians is saying fiat currency and overpopulation leads to unrest.
Hola, amigo.
Hey, buenas noches. ¿Cómo estás?
Oh, muy bien. Gracias.
Good,
That's
good,
all I
good.
got.
All right. Social, civil, Latin Spring, Arab Spring, heck, a European Spring. What the heck is going on?
The man. We're tired of working for the man. Want a better man to work for. I want him gone.
Okay.
The elites are. There's a guy named Kevin Michael Grace. He does a live stream with Luke Ford these days. I actually met him just about a year ago. When I stopped by your store the first time, I was on my way back from Victoria. I actually did him a favor. And he did. The reason I brought him up is about a couple months before Trump was elected, he was doing a podcast called Grace and Steel, and he did an episode called The Exhausted Elite. And he was talking about how, people are starting to rise up against their so-called betters because they're not better. Elites used to have to at least be kind of impressive. You know what I mean? Like they weren't just gloriously educated, but they were really smart and ambitious. But they also had a lot of common sense.
And they could slam dunk, and they could probably hit a double or a triple or maybe a home run too.
That's right, and they're all 6'4" and had 6-pack abs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And they've been to the moon twice, and I know. But now there's nothing to look up for. They don't have those shiny medals on their chest anymore. And
That's right. They're not heroes, right? And they're not superstars. We're not a meritocracy so much anymore. Like there's still people at the top who go to the elite schools and they come from elite families, but they're trust fund babies. Like I said, the old ones who really shook up the world and started the wars and did all this stuff. I mean, they played dirty for sure, but they understood that you had to leave a little gravy in the bowl for everyone else, right? These people, this doesn't relate to them at all. They don't care. They don't care at all. They're just kleptocrats.
You know what's scary? You know what's scary? What's scary is I remember when I was in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
And I'm walking, I think my mom was visiting, and we were in the SkyTrain. Like, I was going to show my mom to take the SkyTrain, show her around, like,
Sure.
the above train, right?
Yeah.
And we're walking down the escalator, and some guy was talking. He came over and started talking to me. And I said hi to him, and he said, oh, good, have a good day, sir. And I'm like, yes, you too, have a great day. And he walked over to other people and it looked like he wasn't, fit or something was wrong. But everyone completely ignored him outright.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't even standing there. And it's like, do those people think they're better than him? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what makes them better than why? Because their clothes looks better, or because they have a job? You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's happening on a grander scale with these elites that are up there, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they've had things more or less their whole way since World War II, and it's succeeded. Let's face it, it's succeeded gloriously. They've pulled all these shuck and jives on us, and look what they've done to our society. You know, if they're going to make order out of chaos, man, I think they just got addicted to the chaos because there's so much money in it. You know, and there's just more people to play with. You got fatherless boys you can turn into your gangster army, and you got fatherless girls you can turn into your harlots. Mm-hmm. And everyone is spending their money on the same stupid things that you're skimming cream off. And after a while, you don't know what to do with your money anymore. Well, the thing is, the people who were coming up in the world, you know, the Luciferians or whatever they were, you know, 200-300 years ago, when they didn't have anywhere near the hold on society they do now. You know, they let people more or less run their lives, and they looked after the big picture. The problem is you know, and I say that a lot, but the problem is that they still kept an eye on the little picture. They were still somewhat able to. You always had a caste system, right? You've always had social strata. You had the middle class probably since the time of the Renaissance. You know, the merchants came along. You had the nobility, the aristocracy. You had the clergy. You had all that. Well, the clergy is, you know, they hang rainbow flags in their churches. They're gone. They're worthless. Mm-hmm. You know, the elites, you know, their children and grandchildren, they're all getting tattoos and, you know, putting pictures of their junk on Instagram, and just like everybody else. Like in some ways they think they're better than everyone else, but the reality is that this debt bubble we're living in has enabled the peasantry to live with the same kind of corruption and debauchery that the royalty have been living with for centuries. Most of the things the average kid does now, I mean, you had to be rich to do that. You couldn't afford it,
guys.
And they've lost touch with the people.
Guys, there's Lord Humungus there, his channel. Lord Humungus has 103 subscribers. Let's get him up to 500. He promised when he gets better, he's going to be doing a video a week. So,
and kick him a few bucks a month, guys. If you've got it.
I already support him on Patreon.
Yeah, you bet.
And
let's help him out. He's got some problems going on right now. He's one of us, and he's doing something that we may well want to emulate ourselves. So you got someone living on the bleeding edge trying to make it all happen. Just help him out for a while. Mm-hmm. You know, we do the same for you, right? You know, get a cause and back it.
Well,
back your champions, people.
Yeah, because we're not funded by any. You know what I'm saying? We're not funded by. I don't know if that makes sense. We're not funded by the public, the private sector. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Public sector. The public. We're not federalized.
Yeah, we're not getting government cheese, and we're not getting kickbacks from Global Homo Corp. You know, like we've got to do it ourselves, and that's why it's small scale. But that's also usually why it's more efficient. Usually, things grow the fastest are always the things that are just starting out.
Okay, what do you think of this homeless city?
Go ahead. The homeless city. I was just saying in the comments earlier. Doesn't the U.S. have empty FEMA camps all over the place?
This thing looks amazing. It's got these huge towers. It's got water fountains in front. It looks like a tropical destination. It's got palm trees. It's got everything. Like for the homeless, I mean, this is great.
If you're homeless, yeah, I guess so. It's just that when you say homeless, you assume that they're all one strata. They're all either panhandlers or they're the people that have been on the street since they stopped government funding for psychiatric hospitals. Like there's all kinds of reasons people become homeless.
Open air hospitals,
basically, and open air sewers in some cases, obviously. Yeah, it looks pretty impressive, but it comes down to, well, there are so many more people who are just barely hanging onto their own homes by their fingernails, and now we're going to take $3 billion from them to build this.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It looks great.
It's not fair.
But I don't think this is what it's going to look like, in my opinion. I think there's more than meets the eye.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, there's more to it than this for sure. I mean, if you see something like this, if you saw something like this in Asia, it would be like workers' dormitories for some huge electronics plant right next door.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or a furniture plant. I saw it when I was in China. I was there for a week in the early 2000s. And yeah, most of their big plants had dormitories.
Right.
Where people live because they came from, thousands of miles away. It's like newfies that go to Alberta to work on the oil patch. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of distances involved. And they work 6-7 days a week.
Okay. Widespread unrest in South America, Latin Spring. Is it a Latin Spring or is it an isolated protest?
Oh, I think it's going to be a Latin Spring. I think it's going to erupt because they're just not learning. And I think most of these countries now, they've got the same problems we have here, just more of a Latin spice to it. You know what I mean? Like we've started to kick out most of our liberal political parties because they're just hopeless. They're not centrist anymore. They're not that big blob sitting right, like that bubble in a spirit level. You know what I mean? Sitting right smack in the middle of the political spectrum where most of the votes are, where the hump in the bell curve is, right? No, they're way over on the left because they think they've got it all now. They've been winning so long, they don't know how to handle the word no.
Charlie Sheen, win.
Winning, yeah.
Win. Charlie
Winning.
Sheen, win.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the thing. They think they're champions. They think they're superior. They think we're dumb. And they don't really care what happens to us. And that's a terrible mistake because we're the other half of the population. Like, they're not getting over the barrier with us. Okay. And as much as they would like to just load us in boxcars and get rid of us as soon as they could take our guns away, it ain't happening.
Okay.
So they're screwed.
I got a question. We looks like we got a Latin Spring, we got a Arab Spring, friggin' African. It looks like it's getting out of unrest in other countries. We had the Raven on the show earlier talking about, they're going to run out of corn, food stock and stuff. Now, I know that Hong Kong is a very isolated incident, but will we see an Asian Spring with Japan, South Korea, North Korea, China? Do you think it'll be a bigger spillover? Do you think you see an entire Asian unrest?
Well, it's kind of in a low level state of chaos most of the time, isn't it? I mean, South Korea has pretty regular changes in government because of political protests.
Right.
Obviously, North Korea, you don't see protests because, if you say you don't like the way things are, they shoot you.
They shoot to kill.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How's life in North Korea? I can't complain. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, about that.
About that, yeah. In China, well, you don't want your organs harvested, so you usually watch what you say too. Plus, I think a lot of them are. I think Han Chinese. Obviously, there are a lot of them here, and have been here for generations, and don't think that way. But I think ones in the old country, they kind of, it's kind of like the English. It's the same deal. You still wind up with a stratified society, no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. And people don't really protest that much. Like Orwell said, football, beer, and gambling more or less filled up the horizons of their minds. They didn't really need more. Mm-hmm. It's just you've got people in that part of the world who are very aspirational. They've seen too much Western TV, Mike. They think they all want to be Beverly Hills 90210. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure most people's designs are simpler than that, but it's being made harder and harder to do it.
But that warped a lot of young women into I guess assessing what kind of life they want to live without really living the life by pre-assessing and picking that this is the life they want to live, and then later on in life realizing that they didn't make the right choices. And that warped a lot of young women, like looking at that 90210 lifestyle.
Absolutely, yeah. All it was basically a after supper time kind of soap opera, right? And soap operas are just pretty rich people with problems. They're emotional pornography for the female. It has a similar effect to what the other kind has on men, right? And that stuff has been pumped via television into every home in the Western world for 60, 70 years. Like we're talking a double X chromosome version of hardcore lifestyle pornography.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the Twilights, right? You get vampires and that can, they glitter in the dark and they could throw cars around, but they're still sensitive emo kind of guys, right?
And they pay off the loan shark, but before the show is over.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. They still do something good for the end of the show. So the bad boy turns good in the end, right?
Yeah,
It's the ultimate fantasy, right? There's 20 million of these novels sitting on rotating stands by supermarket checkouts all over the Western world, and that's what they are. They're emotional pornography. It's a form of false consciousness. In a way, it's like people that support sports teams.
Okay. We got some solid Xers saying it's Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, yeah, kind of. Same idea. It's a false consciousness. You think that, okay, this is something you're interested in, so in a way it becomes part of your identity. You take it on as if it's something that you're actually doing. Mm-hmm. So you've got your favorite hockey player, football player, well, you identify with them, you wear their jersey with their name on you. It's it's kind of a tribalism, right? And this is the thing. The media was supposed to sedate us, like They Live, that old John Carpenter movie, same kind of idea. Mm-hmm. Right, or The Matrix, same idea. It's like you're living it and you identify with it. Mm-hmm. It's number one, you don't know any better. Number two, everybody's telling you, well, this is just how it is. I don't see what the problem is. And that's how they sold progress to us for 60, 70 years.
But they're caught in a grip of misconception.
Well, they are, and then reality, whacks you over the shins. I mean, I've said several times, and I think that if they had throttled back in the mid-'90s,
yeah,
before every second marriage blew apart and you had housing prices started to explode and the greed got the better of them. They don't monitor their own elites anymore. Mm-hmm. They suspended all the rules like Glass-Steagall before 1999.
That was put in place to protect basically the average Joe Donuts that's not watching what's happening in the unregulated banking system.
That's right. Yeah, you used to work, and you might not have made a lot of money, but your money was at least based theoretically on gold and silver.
Right.
You got paid, and you were the average guy. You got paid in the money of kings.
Right.
Like there was a real perceived value to it, and it was the same with things like Glass-Steagall. Precisely. Mm-hmm. It was to protect the little guy from the snakes in suits. Right.
Exactly.
But they took away all those safeguards, and then we got 2000, and then we got 2008, and now we've got whatever the hell you call this now. And there's no political will to change it. Like you might see some of it now that you've got guys like Trump and Boris Johnson and that. It'll probably take a crisis. It'll probably take a major crash before they have the kind of emergency power that they would need to reintroduce those kind of regulations.
It will be. It would have to take a whole entire. It's got to be like a grassroots banking system that needs to be taken into consideration, where they're not basically betting our money on the stock markets, right?
Yeah, you've got politicians in most developed countries now that have been in office for decades. And they're not trying. They just take their money from their donors and they just phone it in. They're not really looking after their people unless you count the odd time when they get, a little bit of that government cheese to give to the people in their district, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of defending people's rights or looking after their well-being long-term. Nations are like corporations, right? Corporations think in terms of the next quarter. And democracies think in terms of the next electoral cycle. Mm-hmm. And in a place like the U.S., that's literally every 2 years. So, yeah, they're in a constant state of agitation. And anything that creates stability in Washington, they're all for it. Unfortunately, that usually means you're taking money from donors instead of actually going out and, going to bake sales and rubber chicken dinners to raise it yourself, right? It's just easier that way.
$100,000 a plate.
$100,000 a plate, and you have automatically more gravitas and more influence than if you were trying to be a man of the people. Look at a guy like Ron Paul. If anybody on here probably knows who Ron Paul is, he was a congressman from Texas for, I think, over 40 years. He was a doctor, an Air Force veteran. Any money he didn't spend for him and his staff, like he returned to the Treasury every year. He was constantly harping on about fiscal discipline and the gold standard or something like that. some kind of sensible system. And he was a lone voice in the wilderness the whole time.
Mhm.
It just wasn't. He had a lot of support in 2012, but the Republicans were not having him there. Like, they literally blanked him out of the debates.
Of course,
they didn't
have,
even
but they have to. Anyone that's going to go there and make any sense needs to be immediately removed.
Yeah,
because they don't want another Boston Tea Party on their hands, right?
No, that's right. No, that's right. They don't. They're trying to prevent it.
Mhm.
They got in and they got to where they are because of the first American Revolution. They don't want a second one. They want to stay right where they are. And they want things to stay that way, and everything's set up, including most of the media, to keep things that way. So this is the thing. It's worked too well. And now they're getting to the point where, people want change. They're not, they understand that they're not a priority. Right. And that the people that are supposed to be representing them, they see this media that they hate just as much as they hate these people, and they realize, okay, well, maybe Democrat politicians despise us and think we're despicable and deplorable, but apparently our own politicians do too. So guess what? They're not ours either. We want our own. That's what this has all been about. It's like we want our own representatives because you people suck. You're gone. You left us behind in the dust or whatever the hell it is you think that you did. And we're not taking it anymore. We're not going to let you take away our lives. You're not that smart. You're not that impressive. As elites, you suck. If there have to be elites, well, we're going to get a new batch because you're no good anymore. You're worthless. You're useless. So you see these uprising in places like Chile and Argentina.
Lebanon,
yeah.
Hong Kong.
And sometimes it's not even the good guys who are protesting, but in a lot of cases, like the yellow vests, it's just people that have just had enough. It's like, okay, you take 75% of our income, right, in exchange for a promise of looking after us.
We basically work 6 to 8 months for the government.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then when you get to the age when you really need to count on this stuff, they're going, well, we're going to need to cut it. We're all going to need to tighten our belts a little bit. People who are eating caviar, living in chateau, telling you that you gotta do this and you gotta do that, and they're not men and women of the people. They're not for the little guy, and that's obvious. So
it's remember earlier in the show I talked about how America is the beacon. It's the last beacon of light. That if America's constitution crumbled or fell, let's say in the 80s, today we'd be living in the dark ages today. When it comes to information, when it comes to it'd be like total socialism all over the world if America hasn't kept up with its. Because back in 1776, they said no more. We're done with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
They went against the English. They went against the British. They went against whatever you want to call them. They went against their monarch. They said, you know what? They committed high treason, and they created a constitution, a Declaration of Independence. They created a Bill of Rights. They made it by the people, for the people. And that's why, you go to Europe and I hate Americans. No, you shouldn't hate Americans, because Americans were the ones that went out there and yelled, rebel yell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the midnight hour. They were the ones that, you know what I'm saying? But they're losing that right now, and I'm scared. Because once America extinguishes its whatever left freedoms it has, I think the rest of the world will fall into peril.
It could be a real problem, yeah. I
believe so.
It would definitely be tough to do. I guess the thing about America is most people in the world, there are a lot of people, obviously, that would like to move to the United States. They'd like to get there. Because it seems like once you get through the border, once you get past the U.S. government, which is the part of America that the rest of the world has to deal with, they might not have anything against the average American per se, but the American government has done a lot of nasty things in the world.
It has.
Precisely because of this deep state thing and neocons and all the rest of it. It's like an automaton or like a Frankenstein monster.
But then you have to go back to the original message, Supreme. Back to the original. It's like they're saying, "Oh, look at all these. I don't believe in Christianity anymore, or this and that," and people complaining because there's all these bad priests, there's all these pedophiles, there's all this crap going on. Yeah. No. No. That's just like the deep state all over the world, like America. No, it's not bad. It's just look at the original message of Christianity.
Yeah.
They're forgetting that.
There's worldwide trafficking of children and slaves going on, and it's if it's religiously motivated, it's not Christianity. It's a different religion that no one.
But what I'm trying to say to you, Supreme, is they're looking at the bad faults, but they're not looking at the original message. And what Christianity was based off originally. They're not looking at that. They're looking at what's happening now in the Vatican or what's happening with this. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the same thing with the United States. They're not looking at what the American message was. They're not looking at what triggered the Yankees or the Confederates to basically stand up to arms, commit high treason, and go against their monarchs or go against their lords, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the whole idea of America and its electoral system, and indeed any democracy is kind of set up the same way, is you can literally change the direction of your country every 2 to 4 years, and just by putting different people at the controls of the same apparatus, right? Like you've got this ship and it's going east, and it goes east until the people are tired of going east, and then they take control, put someone else at the wheel, and they spin the wheel around, start going west. Right. And that's the idea. The genius of the idea was we set up this incredibly complicated republic that is very difficult to change. And the reason they're doing it is because they knew if they made it easy to change, within one generation, some snakes would get in and the place would be a dictatorship, or it would be a monarchy again.
Right.
Something like that would happen. Most of the countries in South America that Simon Bolivar liberated, they basically all started out as monarchies. Like Mexico had an emperor, and Gran Colombia, which became Colombia and Venezuela later. Brazil had a king, an emperor. Brazil, they all had royal families for a while. It was just their European model. They're all republics now.
Brazil was a little bit different because the Napoleon took over Portugal. Or was invading Portugal, sorry, and then Spain invaded Portugal, and there was a huge dilemma, and then the monarchy from Portugal went to Brazil.
Yeah,
and that's how Brazil, and then Brazil gained independence because it had to break away from the main capital at Lisbon because of what was happening with Spain, the invasion of Spain and Napoleon, and a lot of people fled to Angola and Mozambique and Goa, Portuguese India, and Macau, because they didn't have anywhere to go from the main capital. So that's why the monarchy posted its headquarters in it was in Sao Paulo, it was in Rio de Janeiro. It was somewhat close to Rio at the time, and it was different. It was a little bit different with the port. There was no civil war or anything. But with the Mexicans, oh my God, the Mexicans, you had General Zapata, you had General Morelos, and then you had Pancho Villa, those three guys fighting for putting Mexico in the hands of the people, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and that's what Pancho Villa wanted, was to give the people their land or their country, right? And
it's just he was more of a cavalry general, and I think it was Morales on the other side, and he was just a better overall tactician. So in the end, Pancho Villa, he didn't make it. The elites. The thing is that there are always hordes of people, who will fight for their 30 pieces of silver, right? So if you're the guy with the silver, you can raise one army after the other, and the people, they can't really, they're not equipped to deal with it. Look at Syria. The Pentagon had an army in Syria. The CIA had an army in Syria. You had all these different.
The CIA had an army in Veracruz, Mexico.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that in Syria, at one point in time, the Pentagon's army and the CIA's army were actually fighting each other. It doesn't matter, right? Like,
hey, at least we're arming both sides.
That's right. You just peel a few more thousands off the bankroll, hand them out, and they don't care. They'll fight whoever. What else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's tough. Like, and the people just. there's a biblical verse, when there is no vision, the people perish. It's like they need to know the truth, and the more wake up to it, they get to kind of where we are. They see the enormity of the problem, and it's easy to get black-pilled. It's easy to feel hopeless. But the reality is, it always ultimately has to start with you. Mm-hmm. You can't spend all day thinking about the big picture. Mm-hmm. Right? There's a saying in the Christian circles, you're heavenly minded. So heavenly minded, you're no earthly good. Right? Like you've got to, okay, that's great. You're saved. You're going to heaven.
What was that famous saying?
Good news, but think about your family. Think about your own life.
What was that saying that I am here, I am thinking, so therefore I am? Or
Descartes, Rene Descartes. I think, therefore I am.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But here you are.
But to be very, remember I had a morning coffee with Mike a few weeks ago, and I was discussing people should micromanage and take care of their things surrounding their friends, their family, get into contact with people, get to know your neighbors. You know what I'm saying? There's too many big global events happening. We should kind of keep it more close to our hearts, what's happening, and making sure people around us are safe and doing well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one of the more useful things that came out of the environmental movements. Is the idea of think globally but act locally. Okay, so the Rothschilds are in charge. All right, they want to take your guns. All right, we've got a hyperinflation and a fiat currency problem. All right, what do you do in a situation like that? You've got you wake up to realize the house is on fire. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Well, you could sit down at your computer and Google, okay, well, what causes fire? Or you could just go get the fire extinguisher and put the damn thing out. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? And that's the thing. You got to put out the fires in your local area.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Harlip, you got to keep your eyes on the prize for sure. But the prize is up there, and here you are down here trying to get there. So it's like, what do you do? What's your first step? You're going to build a castle? Well, get a shovel, right? You can't just dream about a shovel, or, dream about a castle. You got to get a shovel and start pouring some footings, right?
Remember that song? Ain't no one gonna take my pride. Can nobody hold me down. I gotta keep on moving.
Yeah, you bet. I remember that old tune. Yeah. That AM gold, baby. That
AM
70s
gold.
AM gold. You betcha.
Gotta keep on moving, and that's just it. You gotta work towards it and just be a better person. I think if everybody in the world said good morning to one stranger per day,
yes,
it would just completely start changing the mood everywhere. If one person, if you just say good morning to one person you don't know every morning.
Yeah, you bet. And it has a great effect on you too.
It does.
When you smile, sometimes you make somebody's day and they smile back at you, like, you make their day and it makes your day.
It does.
And the thing is, when you're always thinking about the big picture, it's just another form of virtue signaling. Like, how can I be happy when the Rothschilds own all the gold?
Say hi to your neighbor.
How can anyone be happy when this global, this climate change thing, they're trying to take over the world? How can I smile? How can I be happy? Why should I even have a family? Why should I love anybody if everyone's just going to do it anyway? Do me wrong. Right? Like, you have to have the, I keep going back to the New Testament for this, but you have the harmlessness, right? The gentleness of the dove, but you need the wisdom of the serpent too. Then you're fully equipped for life. Mm-hmm. So, okay, here we are. We realize what the serpent is, quote unquote, per se, right? What the problem is. Okay. Well, it still comes down to, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to go down and drive a car or, set off a bomb outside the courthouse? Mm-hmm. Or am I just going to do what I can do to make myself as anti-fragile as possible? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. Where these riots and this is concerned, there's people, they've had enough. And they're obviously very passionate anyway, but they see their countries and they see their own lives and communities falling into the hands of people who don't even know who they are anymore.
Heck, they don't even speak the language of the country.
They don't even speak the language of the country. And that takes me to the Old Testament, right? Like, you had a situation where Joseph saved Egypt. You know, and I'm just going to do that because it's a common story that everyone's
7
heard.
years of famine and 7 years of richness.
That's right. And that's a dream he had, a vision he had. And he just happened to be, after being sold into slavery and thrown to prison, he gets this vision. And all of a sudden, there he is, second in command to the, the lead politician in Egypt. And he saves the world. You know, he saves the world because he had a vision. And then he was put in a situation where he could actually do something about it. And it's on a small scale. We get things like that in our lives too. And there was actually a point to that Joseph story. It's kind of escaped my thinking about it. You can, if anyone gets any ideas from it, just put it in the comments and I'll run with it. But the idea is that every once in a while you'll be in a place where you can really make a difference because you've got a vision that other people don't have. And you might not be able to explain it to them. You might not be able to explain why you believe what you do. You try to explain the things that we talk about on the show every Saturday night to most people. They roll their eyes or they look at you like you got another eyeball in your forehead, right? Like, dude, what are you talking about? Right. So it in the end, if you can't wake them up, well, then just save the ones you can, or get yourself in a situation. If things go bad, then at least you can save the ones you love. The ones you can care about. They've got a place to run if things get bad. If they get bad. And if they don't, well, you're prepared, you're prosperous, and you're still ultimately going to do better in life than people that just wander around without a plan.
You're obviously you're geared, you're ready to go, you're packed, and it's like Holiday Road. If you remember watching the Lampoons, they're packed, geared, ready to go, excited, and singing their songs as they're traveling along, because that's what life is about. It's a travel, right? You know what? Let me give you a good example. Let me give everybody a good example on how I see life as. Okay. I see life as driving on I-10 from Jacksonville all the way to Los Angeles on the one I-10 highway. But here's the thing: you're doing the drive at night. Okay. But you're doing the drive at night, but your headlights are guiding you. But the headlights could only let you see 100 feet ahead of you.
Yes.
And that's how I see our lives unraveling, is you're on this trip of life and your headlights are only picking up a little bit at a time. You don't see you don't see Los Angeles while you're in Jacksonville because it's 5,000 miles away. But you drive down I-10, you use that 100-foot of distance of headlight to see your way, and you make your way there.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You've got a goal, right? It's
it
like
unfolds.
It unfolds. And it's something that a lot of motivational guys say, right? Focus on the process, not the goal. Right? It's system, have a system. What's your system? Well, I'm in a car, it's full of gas, I have a map, I know if I drive in this direction, I'll get where I want to go. So just drive, right? Okay, it's 1,000 miles. Well, you're not going to do it in an hour. It's going to take X number of hours as long as you keep driving. So just keep trucking. That's the thing. Systems, not goals. And it's the same with anything else in your life. It's the day-to-day process. That you follow to get what you to get what you want. I'm just reading something Mike Banks is trying to write there.
It's saying
Mike, you're right. Most people aren't ready for this, but even what this is, I mean, we know that there's a lot of things that are not right. We know that most people are living in a bubble, an information bubble. And they're, and they need to get woke. But man, it's going to have to be slow. You overload them, and they just check out, go back to what they were doing. What would I do if I made it, Fairlip? I'd pay off my family's mortgages if they had any. I'd probably get out of here, go live somewhere else with better weather, just because I'm in my 50s, and that seems to be what we do.
What's next week's Mike of the Night? What's next week's Mike of the Night? What day is it? Is it a holiday or?
Next week's, oh boy. Well,
it'll be the 4th.
Week it'd be
the 28th.
28th.
Yeah, I'll be available for the 28th for Mike in the Night next week. So maybe we could discuss what you just said a few seconds ago on Mike in the Night. When do I know when I make it? When do I know I've reached my end game? When is enough? Or when do I know that I've How do I know I feel when I'm accomplished?
That's a good question. That, you know what, that is a good topic. You know, what would the end game look like? How would you know? Because it seems like if once you get past that point that you've accomplished what you set out for, there's no reason to go down that road anymore.
Right.
Unless you think that, okay, well, I climbed this mountain and now I've found an even higher one that looks like an even better view from the top. The thing about spending all your time climbing the mountain is the way I see it, the way I pictured it, the way I've always described it is there's no view like from the top of the mountain. But once you get up there, there's nowhere to hide. And it's the coldest place in the world when the sun goes down. You don't want to end your life sitting on a pile of money, you know, without love.
Love is everything.
You know,
and a lot of people don't understand that the key to eliminate worriness, fear is love.
Yeah. When Steve Jobs was dying of pancreatic cancer, he wrote a little article, and somebody posted it on Facebook. But he's laying there and he's hooked up to all these tubes and all these little green lights blinking on this monitor, you know, and he's thinking, you know, I've done things that other people could only dream of. I was the biggest in the world at what I did. I absolutely kicked ass at life. And now that I'm literally down to my last few hours, it's kind of like, you know, there's people that I wish I had not pushed out of my life.
Right.
You know, all you love in the end is all you. It's the only thing that has a point to it. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. I mean, you go out and you work for food and, you know, because you love life, you know, you love, you know, you, once your desires are fulfilled, that bottom of Maslow's hierarchy is fulfilled. What's the next thing? It's love, it's relationships, it's significance. It's having important people in your life and being important to them too. Right. Yeah, you lose a lot of important things. That's right, Hairlip. You do. It's always like, yeah, you chase success because, man, poverty sucks.
My dad would say, you make good memories on this earth because that's all you take with you in the next life.
That's right. And in the next life, apparently, everything you do is tested with fire, and most people, it's just going to be a big pile of hay and stubble. Look, you know, piling up those fiat dollars and those zeros and ones. I'm not going to lie, it's a good feeling too. Because you know that in this world, you got to have that. And if you're ahead of that game, you know, not necessarily a trillionaire, but if you've got a healthy margin under you and poverty, that's a good place to be, because it gives you power. And the thing about power, you know, money, sex, and power, right? And about as man, right? It's just like those are those three things. Well, in and of themselves, they're all good things. Mm-hmm. They're all good things, but it's how you use them and your view of them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, it's your attitude towards them. It doesn't mean don't pursue them. It's just like, well, what are you doing it for? You know, if I was a billionaire, you know, yeah, I would probably have to change my address because I'd have a lot of people saying, hey, man, remember me? And I don't like it when people hate me for stupid reasons like that, right?
Mm-hmm. But you're the type of guy, Supreme, that if you were a billionaire, I think let's say you just got some inheritance. I still think you'd still come on this show. It doesn't matter. I don't think it would change you to a point where, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with you. I enjoy interacting with the people in the comments and hearing what they have to say too.
We got 460 people watching right now.
400, yeah. No, that's beautiful. It's good. It's like it's finally cranking up, man. Yeah, no, it's like you've got something here that is growing, you know, that you started from the ground up.
But I'm not getting any subscribers.
And I like to be part
my
of it.
Subscriber point does not move at all on my actual visual of the channel when you look at it. But then on the backside, it shows I'm getting 10 to 30 subscribers, maybe even 100 on some cases per day. But it doesn't reflect on my main number, and it never moves.
That's right. So YouTube, for whatever reason, is trying to create a negative vision for you. They're saying, well, you're doing all this stuff, but your channel isn't growing, so it's pointless. So
Danny Knox just sent me $5.49, buddy. Thanks so much. Hi to everybody.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, see, they're trying to make you think that you're not doing what you know you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, so you've got logic that says, well, they're doing this, but my numbers are telling me I'm actually doing this, which is a whole lot better. So you know, this platform that you're on is working against you,
Mm-hmm.
which sucks. That's not a nice feeling. You know, it's like, well, I'm succeeding on this platform that was supposed to be set up for people like you to succeed, and now I'm succeeding, and now they're trying to discourage me and discourage other people.
It doesn't discourage me because I think, remember what they said? The media is the message.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what they said? The media is the message.
Yeah.
That was the big,
Yeah,
the global thing when they first got the radio going up, and they were,
Yeah.
the what is the message? The media is the message, right? Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and just about every TV show, you know, 57 channels and nothing on, right? That old Springsteen
That's
song.
a good song.
It's a good song, and it says it all. You know, 57 channels and nothing on.
Well, we're
It's
exercising
all
our
the same
rights to freedom of assembly, right?
Yeah. It's just as long as you assemble in a manner and in the place that they want you to assemble, whoever they is. Okay, There's probably all kinds of theys. We'd probably be shocked how decentralized this network of global control really is. If and I'm sure that there is one. There's no question. I mean, you don't get people who are, you know, have hundreds of billions or possibly trillions of dollars, and you know, and they don't talk to each other, and they don't come up with things together.
Man, banks don't even trust each other. Nobody, guys. I'm telling you guys, reach out to people in your life before it's too late.
Yeah,
I'm telling you guys.
Yeah,
Get to know your
never
neighbors.
mind the
Get
end
to
of
know
the
people
world.
around you. Get to be known in the community. You know what I'm saying? Don't go out there to be liked for the sake of being liked. Go out there and just enjoy and take it in. Enjoy the fresh air you breathe in. Enjoy that, you know, that you have people that love you. Enjoy the fact that you are loved. You know, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could spend so much time worrying about the end of the world that one day your world comes to an end. Like the world, you know, the world, as far as you're concerned, ends when you're done here. So then it doesn't matter anymore. It comes down to, well, you might have told your kids and your relatives and everybody around you that the end was coming and you got to do this and you got to do that. But if they didn't listen to you because they thought you were just nuts or you weren't speaking from a place of love, an actual concern for them, you know, then it was pointless. You know, the world such as it is, the system of things that we live in always ends, and it turns into something else.
Yeah, it's
happened many times.
It's almost like what do you call when the TV show goes into an offshoot?
Yeah, spin-offs.
A spin-off.
Like
it
that.
goes into a
yeah,
spin-off.
that's right. Yeah, spin-offs happen all the time. Exactly. We'll have a spin-off running the place sooner or later. You know, your kids are your spin-offs. They're gonna take the Martin's name and they're gonna carry it into the future like arrows you fired from your bow, my friend.
That's right.
And they'll do great things, and they'll do great things because you believed in them and you told them what they needed to know to succeed in this world.
I hope.
And
God
the idea
you.
the idea that you can't succeed in this world because it's rigged. It's always been rigged.
It always has.
It's never not been.
From the time of serfdom all the way back to the Dark Ages, back to the bubonic plague before, to the Roman periods, way back into the Pangean friggin' continent. There was always something stacked against you.
There's always a hierarchy, yeah. And if you buy into the BS, oh well, this is where I belong. Well, that's where most people live their lives. They still live pretty decent lives. You know, because if everyone's in the same boat, well, at least you got someone to, you know, you're in the boat with someone, right? You can at least play cards.
I hear you. Yeah, at least, yeah. All right, Supreme, I'm going to let you go. I'm getting tired. It's 11:30. And
okay, everyone.
I appreciate you coming in and weighing in. And let's talk about Endgame next week. You know, we got a new year on the horizon. We just passed the turn. We just passed the turn of the 21st century.
Yes.
We're going into the we're getting old, that's what's happening. And let's talk about Endgame. When do you know when to relax? When do you know? We'll do that next week. When do you know you're there? I'm there. I've accomplished. I'm you know, because a lot of people don't know, right?
No, that's right. They don't, and a lot of people, they haven't given the idea any thought because they just do what they do. It was one of the old Greek philosophers that said the unexamined life is not worth living. Every once in a while, you do have to gaze at your navel. You have to, okay, what am I doing, and why am I doing it, and where is this going? What's the point of this? And it's not a rhetorical question. What is the point of it?
Mm-hmm.
You want.
You got a fake Supreme Canon on there.
Oh, hey, there he is. My
Yeah.
blog went viral. That's why Mike's getting all these views. Oh, well, that's beautiful, man. Good for you.
I need you on more to help me get more views, buddy.
There's your first spinoff, Mike.
I'm really all about this to see what kind of views I get. My what do you call it? They call it something in your mind goes off and you.
Yeah, I know. Epiphany or something.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go to bed just the same, and I'm gonna wake up in the morning just the same. Nothing's gonna change.
No, why would it?
1 million views or 3 views, as long as someone gets the message or we engaged in good discussion.
Yeah, well, definitely. That's the thing. It's the interaction. We're looking for our tribe, and now we've found a few members of it. Mm-hmm. And here we are talking in the anonymity and in the cloak of cyberspace. But we have actually had a chance to meet each other in real life too, and it's been good. It's been good to meet people, mm-hmm. Who think the way you do.
That's good.
Going to the same place. Okay, it's a pleasure as always, Mike, and everyone. Take care. Be brave.
Merry Christmas. If I don't get to speak to you,
Yes, have a good one.
God bless you.
My whole family's here this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Okay, guys. God bless. Night for now.
Goodbye. That is Supreme Canon. Usually ends our show off with quite a bit of wisdom. Guys, don't forget to check out these channels. Gemini King for the Mike in the Night song. I get a lot of people asking me. There it is. If you go to Gemini King, you'll find the Mike in the Night song. Uneducated Economist, please subscribe to him. The Machronicle, don't forget him. Formifist, don't forget him. Missing YouTuber Cringe, I love this channel. It's so good. And The Walking Journey, don't forget to check them out, guys. And, want to wish... and Supreme Canon. Where the hell is Supreme Canon's channel? Not Supreme. Where did I put the channel for... I just had it. The channel for Lord Humungus. It's right here. There it is. Lord Humungus. Don't forget to subscribe to him too. And what else? Yeah, just, don't forget to support the transmission, guys. Buttons are up here if you want to support me on Patreon. I'm trying to get 25 Patreon supporters. I'm just trying to run up that hill and run up to the next level. Here it is on Patreon, guys. I'm going to leave a link. I got 22 subscribers. $1 a month. $1 a month. Helps me pay my internet. My internet bill is gone up recently again. And it's like, really? Is it Mike in the Night? Is the bandwidth for Mike in the Night? I don't think so. I'm on Subscribestar. You can hit me up on PayPal. And if you want to hit me up, I'll leave a link if you guys want to hit me up on PayPal. That's fine too. I want to thank one of my Australian supporters down under for... I'm also on BitTubers, guys. If for some reason my channel's gone one morning, here it is, BitTubers. Check me out on BitTubers too. I got 62 subscribers, and I get more views, like 3,000% more views than I do on YouTube. It's unfathomable. This is like 1,500 views from 6 days ago. The same video on YouTube has 300 views with 13,000 subs. Something's not going right, guys. So I just kind of want to throw this out there that I am on other platforms and I do work this hard. I really work this, guys. Anyways, guys, Merry Christmas. Silver is real money. Good show as usual, Mike. Yeah, guys, I picked up some of this silver here, American silver dollars here, $5 1 ounce silver, Canadian silver there. I got a pile of $half John Fitzgerald Kennedy, $half here. And John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the second youngest president of the United States and also I think the first and only Catholic president of the United States. And everyone, Merry Christmas. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. And you guys have a good night. Sleep tight. And we'll stay in touch.